I need to find in myself and get out of my own way to be like, no, you deserve space and time on stage. Being in like a sense of flow on the stage. That's when I was like, wow, I don't know what happened then, but that felt so right. You can have a laugh with me.
I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who watches Showtime. Whether you're here every week, pop in occasionally, or if this is your first time, I really appreciate you being a part of it. But here's the thing, only about 7% of people who watch are actually subscribed to the YouTube channel. So if you're enjoying what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. It makes a massive difference, not just for the channel, but for helping us keep creating more stories, more conversations, and more Showtime. All right, let's get back into it. This is Showtime, a podcast about the people behind the curtain and the stories that shape them. I'm Andrew G, and each week I sit down with creative leaders and risk takers from the theatre world and beyond. We talk about what they do, why they do it, and what it really takes to keep showing up. Today, I am joined by the brilliant Belinda Jenkin, actor, singer, writer, and composer, to talk about her journey from NIDA to New York, her love of musical parody, and the return to the Athenaeum Theatre with Love Actually, the parody musical. Welcome to Showtime, Belinda Jenkin.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in. I'd love to start by finding out whether or not musical theatre was a big part of your childhood.
Oh, okay. Yes, it was. I remember when I was in like grade 1 or 2, I was that kid that would be like, hey, you guys, we're taking it to the stage. We're going to assembly and we are doing a dance to Dr. Jones by Aqua. And my friends were just like, sure thing, Belinda, let's do it. And I would choreograph it, would be in costume. And somehow I just managed to rope in my friends. And I loved performing from a young age. I think I probably sung too much around the house. But then my parents took me to a community theatre when I was probably in grade 4, I think. And it was to audition for Olivia Twist. I love that they didn't just do Annie. Do you know what I mean? They were like, let's do the female protagonist. I was like, go, great. But I was so nervous, and I remember just like bawling my eyes out before the audition. And my dad was like, you can do it, just see how you go. It doesn't matter if you get in or not. But I got in, and maybe I was a convincing orphan with my tears running down my eyes. I don't know, maybe. But that's where I found like such a sense of community. And all these other kids that loved doing singing, dancing, and acting, right? And so from that moment, I really loved it. And my mum would also play really funny musical comedies, like old school comedies at home. And I remember watching like Robin Hood Men in Tights, but it was actually Annie Get Your Gun, seeing Betty Hutton in that. I don't know if you've seen that. It was supposed to be Judy Garland, but Betty Hutton is so hilarious and so over the top and confident. And I think that character, a bit like similar to Lucille Ball times, but in musical form. And I was like, wow, a female can be funny. A female can play and be so themselves. And I was like, that is so cool. And that character, right, in Annie Get Your Gun is so boisterous and that musical comedy, I think, got me into it. And then from then on, it was like doing musical theatre outside of school and things like that, and being exposed to more theatre and experiences that I was like, yeah, I think this is my jam. Yeah.
And was it always comedy and parody that really inspired you?
No, not really, actually. After finishing high school, I went and studied contemporary music and majored in contemporary voice. And then after doing that, I was like, oh, I love singing. Like I love exploring that, and songwriting I really liked. But there was something about transforming yourself and being somebody else. And that's when I went and studied at a dance school, Dance World in South Melbourne. It was called APO Arts Academy. APO not standing for anything that's performing arts related. It was just APO, who was the director of the course, which is also great. And then I met a friend of mine there, William Hannigan. And from that, we were like, I remember at the equity meeting, they were like, write, and then you can then create. And then from that, you can be seen. So we applied for TheatreWorks funding for a grant, and somehow we got a grant to write a musical for TheatreWorks for over the 12 months. And we did that, and it was the best. It was so much fun. And then that took us overseas to New York, and we went over to New York and we did like a workshop and development over there. And I also studied over there at NYU doing musical theatre. And then from that, the door just opened even further to be like, yeah, cool, this is stage and this is creating new worlds and things like that. Yeah.
Was there a defining moment when you knew this was going to be your career?
I think it's quite – oh, yes. No, I do remember. I remember driving home from a rehearsal from a musical that I'd written and I was also performing in, and then also having to collect like a bit of I think some more set. I think I had to go collect some more set, and I was like, and I've got to be back at the theatre at 5:30. And I was like, this is so good. Like this is what you wanted to do. And then I was like, yeah, great. And also being in like a sense of flow on the stage. That's when I was like, wow, I don't know what happened then, but that felt so right. Yeah.
You've talked about a sense of flow on stage and also transforming yourself. What does that mean? What does that actually feel like?
I think it's like just happiness in the sense that you don't have to be anywhere else at that point other than connecting with somebody else, whether it's the other actor on stage or the audience that's in front of you. It's like space and time just stop, and then you're in this, I don't know, this other world that nothing else around you matters except for that moment. And I guess that's the state of flow, right? When you're like, this is everything right now. I'm not thinking about, oh my gosh, what am I going to have for dinner after this show? It's going to be a late one. Do I want a small meal? I don't want to wake up with a sore throat because I ate so late. Do you know, acid reflux? But it's like happiness. Yeah, it's really fun.
Who encouraged you most in your early years?
My parents, definitely. My sisters, like my family, 100%. And I think my pa as well. He was great. He would like wave at me at every show. It was crazy. It was like you'd be on stage in character and he's just at the front. And so I'd always have to find some moment to be like, because I just couldn't leave him hanging, right? It's like someone with a high five. You can't just leave him hanging. So I'd be like, oh, quickly like that. So he was really encouraging. Yeah, my family were just amazing. I remember on one performance when I did this thing when I was younger, which was called the Young Australian Broadway Chorus. And on my final performance, my sisters like ran down to the front in the audience and threw flowers. And they were like, what just happened then? And so obviously you weren't allowed to do that. And someone had to run on and grab the flowers. But they've just been super supportive. And I guess performing arts teachers as well. Yeah, I remember having Philip Quast at NIDA, and he has this like magical way about him that he will just hold your hand and like walk with you around the studio space. And I don't know if it's about that physical connection, but so many of my classmates, when he did that, you were like, okay, I'm going on this little journey with Philip Quast, and he'll sing to you while you're doing this. But then sometimes he would find a way to go just like look at you in the eyeballs. And I remember one time he said, you don't think you're worthy. And I just like burst out into tears. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to find in myself and get out of my own way to be like, no, like you deserve space and time on stage. I think that was another thing. You know, those moments when you're like, oh, that's stuck with me somewhere. So, also some teachers along the way as well. Yeah.
How did your family react when you decided to pursue performing full time?
I think, well, they've always been supportive. They've never said, oh, are you sure about that one? But when I was doing year 12, I got full marks in painting, so in studio art. and my artwork was then loaned by Treasury Place. So the city of Melbourne, they wanted to loan it out, so they were paying to have my artwork.
Well, that Treasury Place, that's the state government.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So the state government wanted my artwork in their buildings, and then my artwork was also at the Ian Potter Centre. So I did this oil paintings, and they were really realistic. So, and I remember working my butt off. I did not sleep for a week to do these paintings. So when I got to the end of year 12 and I'd chosen to go into contemporary music and do voice, my careers counsellor at school called me and she was like, "Are you sure?" So it was the careers counsellor because I worked really, really hard in year 12. So I got a great enter score. And she said, "Are you sure this is what you want to do? Just because you've actually gone above and beyond what I think you're putting yourself into." And so I think at that point it was like, do I go down the studio art route or the performing arts? And I was like, I think I've got to give the performing arts a go because I'm physically able. I'm like ready to, move. And I was like, maybe when I retire, then I can join a community arts crew and do the landscapes and things like that. But I think now having that artistic background, it really helps when looking at a script and creating characters to go, oh, there's other creative side of me that I can bring into it. Not that I'm painting on stage, but just having that other element as well to come across. Yeah.
When you're not performing, how do you recharge?
How do I recharge? Okay. I really like yoga. My sister's a yoga instructor, so I would go to her classes if I can. I actually swim in the ocean every morning, which is crazy in this Melbourne weather.
You're not one of those icebergers, are you?
Well, I wasn't the year before last. So we live not too far from the beach. I'm very, very lucky. And we take our dog for a walk at the beach. And so this year, at the end of last year, in December, we'd been swimming in the mornings. And I was like, hey, let's do it every morning next year. Let's commit that. And I've got to say, I think November has not been the kindest to us in the mornings. Like yesterday morning was so wet and so windy. It was wild. But a recharge of hopping into the cold ocean is amazing. I don't know if you've done like cold plunges before, but there's something about it that I'm like, yes. And being in the sea, I think there's that connection to land and looking at that horizon and being like, cool, this is how I've chosen to start my day. Sometimes I question it when it's absolutely freezing, but I really like that as a reset. And I'm a runner, so I like running, and that's my meditative state. I just love going. Yeah. So maybe it's not like slowing down and recharging. It's probably like more connecting to my body in a different way.
And connecting to the world around you by the sound of it too.
100%. Yeah. Looking at a different perspective and opening that peripheral vision and being like, cool, this is the world. Yeah. And then you can create your own world as well. Yeah.
I can't help but noticing you've done a lot of musical parody theatre. Thrones, Friends, and of course now Love Actually.
Yeah.
What is it that got you into parody musicals?
I don't know. Somehow it happened. I don't know if it started, I guess it was like a few years back that so many movie musicals started to come to Australia. And they, I think for producers, were selling tickets before the show is being cast, before any organization has been done. A movie musical brings the general public, and I think it just became supply demand. Like I was like, yeah, I'll audition for that. That's happening. And I was at a stage where I'd done some writing of original shows, and I was like, I think I want to step into a show where I don't feel like I have to sell tickets and promote the show as much. I want to take on the role of the performer, I guess, and take that other hat off. And so I auditioned for Top Gun the musical and I got in and I played Goose. And then I just was like, this character is such a goose. I'm a female playing, Goose in Top Gun. And so that's where I found that humor can just carry so far. And then I went into audition for Gilligan's Island. I did Gilligan's Island, the movie musical. Then it came on to auditioning for 50 Shades, the musical parody. And I was like, whoa. Like I know the story of 50 Shades, but I haven't read the books but I know what this entails. But there was a character in there called Carol, and it was about the book club reading 50 Shades and it coming to life for them. And this character, Carol, was very Christian. She didn't, play on words, Christian as well. But she could never imagine her sexual life having that influence from 50 Shades. So she was very timid at the start. And I was like, okay, cool. She's a bit bird-like. I was like, I could find the authenticity of that and also the comedy in that. And then she has this massive sexual awakening at the end of the show. And it was just such a fun journey of that character that I was like, this character is really cool. That's what brought me to the show. But then, oh my gosh, so many other parody musicals came after. Like Phoebe, that was so fun to play. And then in Friends,
Yep.
in Friends. And then we toured that around Australia. That was during COVID, which was a wild time as well. I remember the producer calling me in Melbourne, and it was the night before Melbourne was going into a lockdown, and he's like, hey, can you get to Brizzy tomorrow? I'm putting you on a flight. I'll let you know by 5 p.m. if you're going to be on the 8 o'clock flight. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And then flew us to Brizzy, and it was just a wild time to be in Melbourne and then suddenly having drinks by South Bank in Brisbane and then doing shows. It was just, it was crazy. But that was Friends, the musical parody, and it was very fun. I think that 50 Shades and Friends was then the door that opened even more parodies, and then came Thrones. And I think I know the art form now, and I feel like from all those shows I've learnt different things about what parody is by my castmates, but also by the crew that are working on the show. And then, so going into Thrones and also Love Actually, I feel even more confident in the craft and how to create parody and the characters. Yeah.
As a performer and a writer, what do you think's the secret to landing a parody musical, both with fans of the original movie or TV series and also newcomers?
I think the key, honestly, is everyone on stage being in the same world. I think everyone has to be in the same either heightened world and able to find the trust in each other, knowing where the show is going to, and then also letting things sit and opening the door to the audience to go, yes, we are characters playing these characters that the iconic ones. Letting yourself go and be like, this isn't going to be an exact copy of Keira Knightley because I'm not Keira Knightley, but this is my interpretation of that and my heightened version of what that is. So finding isms of the characters and a bit of tongue in cheek into being like, yes, I'm playing 12 characters in this musical right now. I'm going to do a quick change of a wig. I might drop a wig, but that also lets you know of the silliness of the show. And that you can have a laugh with me. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So it sort of sounds like your performance in parody musicals does rely quite heavily on that audience interaction bit as well, doesn't it?
100%. Yes. And it's a little bit, I like to think of it a little bit like clown, like musical theatre clown, because you're checking in with the audience, you're making sure they're on board with you, and then you're either – that happens in threes, right? Comedy, some things can happen in threes. So if you do a ism or, pull a Keira Knightley jaw or something then you know that if you get a few giggles, you're like, okay, that got something. Can I play with that again? And then you might do that thing again and then one more time and then they're on board with you. So it is a bit of letting that moment have space, but then checking in, are the audience on board with me? So really listening out for that too. Yeah.
Right now, you're working on Love Actually, the musical parody. For those that are newcomers, for those that don't know the genre of parody musical or Love Actually, the movie, what's it about? What do they expect?
Well, I guess if you don't know the movie, I would actually recommend, if you don't have time to watch the movie, at least watch like the trailer of the movie so you have some references. But we are reenacting, I guess, the best moments of the movie in a heightened way. So it's very funny. It's very nostalgic of that time. And it's very silly. So it's the silly season, hey? It's like the festive season. So this is a great time for those that are finishing up work, right? We're heading into the end of December. It's Christmas time. Everyone's finishing up and ready for a drink and ready for a giggle. It's going to be lighthearted. And there even might be, if you have seen the movie, there even might be a slight difference in the ending. Yeah, that you might be like, oh, cool, this is a cool spin on it. This is more of a current spin on it than what it was back then. So, yeah.
But audiences don't need to know or love the movie in order to enjoy the musical, do they?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, Love Actually has a few lovers and haters of it. But I think you can still come along and you will definitely have a laugh because there's also references to other movies in there. Take, I hope this doesn't give away too much, but like Alan Rickman's character, right, who is so horrible to Emma Thompson in the film, is actually played by Snape instead of Alan Rickman in Love Actually. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, you're going to go, oh my gosh, they're playing reference to that character in that movie. There might be references to Emma Thompson actually being Nanny McPhee. Do you know what I mean? So if you've watched other movies, there'll be references to that. And in the musical, we talk about each character more so in their actor name rather than their character name in the film. Because there's so many characters in the film. It's crazy. It's like a montage of Christmas moments with some of UK's best actors. Yeah.
What is your favourite Love Actually scene from the movie?
Oh, there's so many. I absolutely love when Samuel runs to the airport, and it's actually in an outtake that they didn't put in the film anyway, and I wish they did. So he's running to the airport to confess his love to Joanna, who is the singer, and it's just so heartwarming seeing young love, like that is just so sweet. And the film is based around coming home for Christmas at the airport. But in this outtake that they didn't put in the film, he like runs past the security guards and then he's doing flips. He's spinning around the security poles and then he ducks under, like does a limbo. And I'm like, why didn't you keep that in? That is just so ridiculous. But actually it's just come to my head now. Do you know the film?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it has to be Rowan Atkins doing the wrapping of the gift. If you know the film, you know he's like doing the pop puree and he's wrapping it up and Alan Rickman's like, come on. And there's actually a song in our musical parody called Lovely, and it is so funny and ridiculous. It takes it over the top. He's putting like a bit of beef in there, a teddy bear. He's just putting everything he can think of into this gift wrap to slow it down even further. So
it's funny you mention that scene because I've got a childhood memory that triggered when I first saw that scene, and just then I remember being with my mum in a department store around Christmas time decades ago, and back when they would wrap presents, and it just took forever. They wrapped it and then they wrapped another thing around the bit and then they put it in some sort of shiny cellophane thing and then put a ribbon around it and then put another. It felt to me, as a kid at the time, it felt to me like it went on forever. So that scene that you just referred to was one of the funniest scenes I remember from that movie, well, from most movies that I've
Yeah.
seen, but it also sort of, triggers that sort of childhood memory. It's so fun.
It's so funny. But even like now, I'm like, even if it takes long, I'm like, please wrap it for me. I don't want that job at home.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that. And you wrap it so well that I'm like, great.
Yeah.
I'll take it as my own wrapping, but you do it for me, please.
You do juggle, and you touched on this before, you juggle a lot of characters in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever come on stage with the wrong character in your head?
Not for this show, no. Not for this show.
That sounds like a qualification you have before, though, I'm sensing.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to think if there actually was a moment. I think probably I've come on or I've forgotten the wig for the next character and been like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get that? So there's probably been a little bit of a stress behind that. For this one, all my characters are very specific. So I play Samuel, I play Keira Knightley, I play Mia the assistant, I play Aurelia as well, the housemaid to Colin Firth's character. So they all have this different physicalization and different vocalization. And my voice coach that I've worked with as well, and she helped me with this a little bit too, Jennifer White, she told me maybe you need a moment before and after each character when you're hopping on and off stage. And I was like, oh, that's so good. So just to let the character go, and then what is that pose that helps you get into the next character? Is it like a shoulder shrug? I made the assistant actually. I said to the director, I was like, I've got this idea for the assistant Mia. She's got this black bob. And I was like, can I make her Catherine Zeta-Jones in Chicago? Like she's so on it and she's so seductive, I guess. And so I have like a Fosse move that I do before I come on stage, and that helps. And then when I close the door of one of the sets, then I just do that and I release it, and then I get the next action. But I mean, obviously we've got physical things, so I haven't forgotten anything, but that's really helped me be like the next character. Yeah.
How would you describe the sense of humour in the show?
The sense of humor is, it's clever, but it's still, you, general public, will get it. I wouldn't say it's for like young children, this one, because of the topics in the movie, but I would say it's laugh out loud. Yeah, there's lots of laughs. Yeah. And when you can see your fellow castmate almost laughing at an offer or choice that you've made, you're like, yeah, we've got this. Yeah. So I would say laugh out loud humor. Yeah.
I'm with Belinda Jenkin. We're talking about Love Actually, the musical parody, which opens on the 5th of December at the Athenaeum Theatre in the city. To book tickets, visit ticketmaster.com. Belinda, thank you so much for coming in. And all the best for the silly season and, of course, for Love Actually.
Thank you so much.